Welcome! E aí, galera, beleza? Bem-vindo à nossa comunidade.
Welcome to our community.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It is OGC here. Welcome to today's video. We are going to be looking at the troop selection for the Rakkan race. Now, I moved myself over to this side of the screen. That way you guys can see the full descriptions of the troops. In this type of video, we're just going to look at the basic troops for these specific races. We're not going to jump into all of the finer details, so I would rate this as a beginner's video to the troop selection of the races. Today's race is the Rakkan race, which is a fantastic race. I think that this race we will see more and more of. I think it's going to make a big comeback because of the Turtle Awakening, which we will get to later on in this video. However, before we start, if you are a new player, maybe you're just coming back, or maybe you just support the channel because you're awesome, please take a moment, smash the thumbs up button, go down, subscribe. That way you guys can get more informative videos. And go back. I have so many informative videos in the past. If you want to learn about any of the races, I have every hero covered in depth. So many void stages are covered here. If not here, then other OGC gaming affiliate video makers such as Alberto, probably for everything from like void 80 to 120 or something like that. And Bago Chips also has pretty much all of the high-end void videos. So go check them out as well. But make sure you subscribe. That way you guys can be the strongest on your server following the advice from this channel. Results may vary. So let's jump in. The bread and butter for Rakkan is their dire swords. So to compare this to other races, this would be equivalent to the spearmen for human, the frontline skeletons for lich, the miners for dwarf, and also the huntresses for sylph. There are two different options. The first is the Zen. So the Zen, what makes these guys special is right over here. You can see Vampire Blade, and for the first 40 seconds of the battle, damage from basic attacks will heal them. Forget about that. The Zen Blade Masters are really underwhelming. So we're just going to only look at the dire ones. I'll explain why and why I highly recommend the dire Blade Masters. But first, let's look at what the swordsmen have to offer and why they're so good in general. So first, they have a skill called Aiijutsu, which has a 25% chance of launching a counterattack whenever they're attacked, dealing heavy damage to enemies, taking reduced damage by 45% for 3 seconds. So right there, they get some pretty good damage mitigation. The Aiijutsu is pretty much the reason why these are good frontline units, and or some people only run swordsmen for Rakkan. The reason is they get 45% damage mitigation. Now, if you have Varian on the field, which you always should, and he has maxed out his moral boost shield thing, I'm blanking on the name right now, what happens is that moral boost shield thing that reduces damage will also carry over into the Rakkan Blaze. I'll show you what that looks like real quick. So I'm talking about Crusader Shield. Crusader Shield will affect the dire swordsman for Rakkan and or all of Rakkan besides the turtles. So this is a huge skill from Varian. So because of those skills, along with Avalon with his aura that increases the humanoid health, the swordsman for Rakkan can tank extremely well. Bushido Code makes it so that the moral never collapses for the swordsman, thus making them more viable as a tanking unit for Rakkan. Bloodlust is similar to that of humans, and whenever they have a moral boost, their damage is increased by 30%. Now they have something called Battle Zeal, and within 7 seconds of drinking the ale, it launches them into an Aiijutsu quick draw attack, dealing heavy damage. This will offer your Blade Masters to do a bunch more damage. They might get the moral boost, which will just make them more solid as a frontline unit, and they'll be able to do a lot more AoE damage. Also, the dire ones have something called Vorpal Blade, and I am butchering all these names. Welcome to the channel. Vorpal Blade grants them 30% bonus range and 50% bonus area damage to Aiijutsu. So all of this stuff compounds on top of each other, making dire Blade Masters deal pretty decent damage for frontline tanking units, and between Varian's Crusader Shield, Avalon's Aura, and just the nature in which the Dire Blade Masters are made, it makes them very tanky. So they're a great choice for a standard frontline for Rakkan. Next, we have the Archers for Rakkan. So the Archers made a recent comeback, and I think that we might see more and more of them. Now, the Zen Archers, before we get through everything, they have something called Blinding Arrows, and after drinking an ale, piercing arrows blind all enemies they hit, reducing their accuracy by 30% for 6 seconds. However, the one that we're seeing more common of is the Dire Archers. Now, the Archers for Rakkan are pretty unique. They also have an ale, and the ale is Deadly Piercing Arrow. It's inactive, and within 5 seconds after drinking an ale, shoots a deadly piercing arrow that deals area damage to distant enemies. So piercing arrows, they have their standard attacks a 30% chance of shooting a piercing arrow that deals area damage. When they use the ale, those are all of the attacks. Piercing arrow is super cool because it will hit the frontline unit, travel through, and hit the backline. If you're fighting Lich, you can take out enemy warlocks with it. If you have a Bless Hero Pred Dragon, you might be able to take out some of the low HP heroes. And if you're fighting against human, you could take out some of the archers. However, in a recent nerf, they made it so that the further the arrow goes, the less damage it does. However, it's still pretty useful because it can hit the backline pretty efficiently, and it does a pushback. The pushback from the archer, right? If your front lines are stalled out, let's see if I can get this right. If your front lines are stalled out and your samurais are hitting their front line, if your archers do a pushback, then your Rakkan samurai can get in deeper and actually hit the enemy range units with their Ayajitsu quick draw. Alright, so anyways, before I get way too sidetracked, the reason why I'm seeing more of the Dire archers for Rakkan is because their basic attacks deal bonus burning damage. After drinking their ale, piercing arrows cause an explosion that deals burning damage to nearby enemies at the location of the first target hit. This will allow them to do a little bit more bursts. If we haven't caught on yet, the main trait of the Rakkan is they're all about burst damage. So the Dire Archers will offer more bursts, and if you are going up against Sylph, anything that can deal burning will help. I don't think this is a super overpowered game-breaking thing against Sylph. I just think that it helps. Have you guys ever tried to fight against mechs and really struggled? Well, think no further. All we need is some Rakkan monks, and those pesky mechs from those dwarf players will be gone within seconds. So, monks have a very unique and niche role in Art of Conquest. They're great at taking down bigger foes. That includes bosses in raids, that includes trees, that includes especially mechs. So, why is that the way that it is? Well, monks have something called a flying sidekick. They fly through the air at enemies within a certain range, kicking them for heavy damage and taking 50% reduced damage for 10 seconds. They're also immune to poison, which helps against Lich. The monks help against Lich drastically. They also have something called Swipe, deals heavy damage to large and massive units, mitigates damage from large units by 30%, so they're pretty good against scorpions. Now, they also have, for the Zen ones, they have something called Swift Staff. They gain bonus attack speed and reduce moral decay speed. When attacking large and massive enemies, it can stack up to 10 times. And with their ale, they recover health for 15 seconds. This recovery rate can be increased by Denji. And also Talk. Talk is a universal Rakkan hero. You must have Talk. But Denji will also boost them up. Denji also has a mastery, and Avalon's humanoid aura mastery also stacks with it all. So monks can be a pretty good tanky unit with a self-heal capability, with a good burst damage and increased damage versus things like mechs, trees, spiders, all of that lovely stuff. However, their moral can collapse. So this is the Zen version. personally, if I had to pick, which I would never want to have to because I won't play Rakkan, then I would probably go with the Zen one. I'm not sure which is better, by the way. For most of these, I have a really good idea, but when it comes to monks, I don't know which is better. From the sounds of it, I like the sound of the Zen one a lot better. When we look at the dire ones have all the same things except they have Iron Foot, which means that Flying Sidekick deals bonus damage against the target's max health, and Drinking the Ale gains an additional Flying Sidekick. So if one Flying Sidekick isn't good enough, these monkeys can do two. Maybe the dire is better. Let me know in the comment section below which monk is better, and yeah, please read the comments because somebody down there will know. Next, we have ninjas. So ninjas are another pretty interesting troop type when it comes to Rakkan troops. Most Rakkan troops are pretty unique. So they are also humanoid, and they have something called poisonous blades. So the blades of the shadows, which are the ninjas, and their mirror images are dipped in poisoning, enabling them to deal poison damage, affects only humanoid and magical units. So that is pretty cool overall. They also have something called ambush. When an enemy is struck by a shuriken thrown by an assassin ninja, there's a 5% chance a mirror image will be summoned nearby for 10 seconds to ambush the enemy. Mirror images are melee fighters with half the health and damage, blah, 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 blah. So it's pretty cool. The dire ones can pull out more and more of their own ninjas just by attacking. They also have something called Fatality. It's a buff that grants bonus attack speed and movement speed by 50%, but also makes the bearer immune to moral collapse and most crowd control effects. So that is huge for countering crowd control. It also grants them bonus attack speed and movement speed. That's whenever they do the mirror image, which is their Ale ability. So when they do use the mirror image, they will summon more of the ninjas and also have that fatality buff. It's absolutely massive. A good friend of mine named Men in Black, who beat me in Coliseum when I had more core than him, he did it through zerging me with ninjas. It actually works. It still works now. Now, the dire ones have a unique thing called smoke screen. Their shadows in their mirror images drop a smoke screen upon death. Under the smoke, allies have a 15% increased evade chance, and enemies have 15% reduced accuracy. It lasts for 5 seconds. So I think that the dire ninjas are better for your garrison. However, I think that the Zen ones are better when it comes to PvP and attacking. The reason why is the shurikens deal 300% damage to enemies below 20% health. This fulfills their role of a ninja and or assassinator. They can finish off targets so well. Now, I could be wrong when it comes to fighting against Lich or units that just take forever to die. Then the dire ones might be better. But versus things like trees, which I don't think a pack of ninjas is going to turn the battle against maxed out trees. But against trees or things like Belrog, the ninjas, the Zen ones might be able to help you out more. Again, let me know in the comment section below which one you guys think is better. Finally, we get to the turtles. Oh my gosh, I was so excited when we got the news for this. So for the Zen dragons, these are, or dragon turtles, I'm just going to call them turtles. These are the go-to thing for the Rakkans. So first of all, the turtles offer something called Moral Sport, which will decrease the rate that your troops lose moral. They also have Battle Lust, War Drums, Healing Wave, and pretty much what all of this means is at the start of the battle, you pop the Battle Lust, the active ale, for the Dragon Turtle. What will happen is all of your troops will have increased health, attack, and attack speed for a pretty long time, about 43 seconds if you set up heavyweight properly on your talk. That's super important. Your talk must be set up well. From there, they'll continue to heal everything, and they are giant magical creatures. When you are Rakkan, you want to use the Zen Dragon Turtles. The reason why is when you use the Dragon Turtles Ale, it triggers 2 bonus ale effects for 2 other of your Rakkan troops. So say those are your archers or your swordsmen. every Rakkan troop gets a significant bonus when their ale is activated. In most cases, Rakkan troops with their ale activated are better than any other races. As long as that ale is being activated. When the ale is not activated, they're just kind of meh. But when that ale is activated, it's kind of like they hit the Super Saiyan mode temporarily. So this turtle is massive for Rakkan, and I think if I was a betting person, if Rakkan makes a comeback, it's going to be because of this specific turtle, the Zen Dragon Turtle. However, for everybody else out there, we will appreciate having the Dire Turtles. The Dire Turtles pretty much do the exact opposite of Tox Prolific Trance. What I mean by that is every time you cast 2 abilities, the turtle will do like a little pulse. It will last for 20 seconds, and your troops will have its damage, attack speed, and health increase for 20 seconds. The strength of it goes up by 3% every time it is triggered. It can stack. So this is a very, very good thing from the Dire Turtles. So with that, guys, that is the Rakkan troops in a nutshell. I'll have to do another follow-up beginners video going over the heroes for the Rakkan race. Do I think Rakkan is good? I think that Rakkan is now good with the Zen Turtle. I think that's what makes Rakkan viable. So with that, guys, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Please enjoy this video, like, share, subscribe for more awesome content. And thank you guys for tuning in. You guys are amazing. Take care.